Imagine a fire alarm goes off in your house. The alarm doesn't wait until you've located the fire or identified the cause and formulated a response plan. It just goes off. Loud, immediate, non-negotiable. And you don't stand there asking the alarm to explain itself. You don't say, "What exactly is wrong? Where's the fire? How bad is it? Give me details." You stabilize first. You get yourself and everyone else to safety. Once the alarm stops and you can think clearly, you investigate. That's what's happening when a boy shuts down and can't explain what's wrong. His alarm is going off. His system is signaling danger, social threat, academic overwhelm, fear of failure, exposure, judgment, whatever it is. And his parents are standing there saying, "Explain the fire to me right now." But he can't. Because if a young man can't explain what he's afraid of, it doesn't mean he's hiding something. It often means fear showed up before language did. And when fear arrives first, when it floods the system before the brain has a chance to make sense of it, there is nothing to explain yet. The young man isn't withholding information. He genuinely doesn't have words for what he's experiencing. Because fear doesn't arrive with subtitles. Let me explain what I mean by that. Fear is somatic first, cognitive second. It shows up in the body, chest tightness, heart racing, stomach dropping, before it shows up as a thought. In language, the ability to name what you're feeling and explain it coherently, that requires safety and regulation. You can't articulate fear while you're still in it. You have to settle first. And when you're a young man whose nervous system is already running hot, whose brain is still developing the capacity for emotional regulation, right? That settling process takes time, sometimes a lot of time. But parents don't know this. They see their son shut down, go quiet, retreat to his room, and they think he's being evasive or manipulative or just, refusing to communicate. And so they push. "What's wrong? Talk to me. I can't help you if you don't tell me what's going on." And the kid just shrugs or says, "Nothing," or snaps back with sarcasm. And the parent walks away thinking, "He won't let me in. He's choosing to keep me out." But that's not what's happening. His alarm is still blaring. His body is still flooded with the feeling. And until that settles, language isn't accessible. Let me give you a concrete example. This is a composite of situations I've seen repeatedly with young men who suddenly refuse to go to school. Let's call him Ben. He's 14 years old and started refusing to go to school about halfway through the year. He just wouldn't get out of bed. He wouldn't get dressed, and every time his parents asked, "Ben, why won't you go to school? What happened? Did someone do something to you? Are you being bullied? Are you failing a class?" He would just stare at the floor and say nothing. Or he would say, "I don't know." Or perhaps, he'd get sarcastic and be like, "Yeah, Mom, I'm being bullied by the lunch lady." This pattern shows up again and again. The parents can't help if they don't know what's going on. So they keep pushing. More questions, more concern, more urgency in their voices, right? And what happens, the young man shuts down even more. Because now he has two problems. The original fear, whatever is making school feel unbearable, and the secondary fear that he's disappointing his parents, that something's fundamentally wrong with him because he can't even explain what he's feeling. This is the pattern I see consistently. The more you demand explanation, the more pressure you add to a system that's already overwhelmed. And pressure doesn't produce clarity. It produces more fear, because now the young man isn't just dealing with the original threat. He's also dealing with the threat of your disappointment, your worry, your frustration that he won't open up. Here's a reframe I want you to consider. When your son goes silent, when he can't explain what's wrong, that's not resistance. That's dysregulation. His nervous system is doing what it was designed to do, which is shut down non-essential functions like articulate speech in order to protect him from perceived danger. Silence is often unfinished emotion. It's not that he won't talk, it's that he can't yet. The feeling hasn't resolved enough for words to form around it. And the solution isn't interrogation. It's presence without pressure. It's creating conditions where his system can settle, where the alarm can stop blaring. And that doesn't happen through questions. It happens through safety, right? Through predictability. Through you staying calm when he's not. Through you not making his silence into an emergency. Because here's what parents don't realize. When you escalate your concern, you're signaling to his nervous system that there really is something to be afraid of. If you're panicking, his brain interprets that as confirmation that the threat is real. So your worry, your urgent questioning, your visible stress, all of that is actually preventing him from settling. You think you're helping, but you're actually making it worse. Now, this doesn't mean you ignore him. It doesn't mean you pretend nothing's wrong. What it means is you shift your focus from extracting explanation to providing regulation. You sit with him without demanding words. You let him know you're there, that you're not going anywhere, and he doesn't have to perform emotional clarity for you. Does that make sense? You create space where silence is okay, where he doesn't owe you an explanation, where his job isn't to make you feel better by giving you answers. And what I've seen over and over is this. When fear settles, speech returns. Not on demand, but naturally. When the alarm stops, when his system downregulates, when he feels safe enough to access the part of his brain that can name and explain what he's feeling, that's when words come. But you can't force that timeline. You can't talk a nervous system into safety. With situations like Ben's, here's what shifts things. Stop asking him what's wrong. Stop trying to problem solve. Make it clear that he's not in trouble, that there's no urgency for him to explain anything. After the pressure drops, after about a week in most cases, young men start talking. Not in one big confession, in bits and pieces, but in Ben's composite case, what emerged was a panic attack in class a few weeks earlier, and ever since then, terror that it would happen again. No language for it at the time, just a felt sense that school was dangerous. And the questions, what's wrong, what happened, why won't you go, those felt like accusations, like proof that he was broken or weak or doing this on purpose. Once the demand for answers stopped, once it became safe to not know, the clarity came on its own. And that's what I want you to understand. Your son's silence isn't defiance, and it's not manipulation. It's his nervous system protecting him the only way it knows how. And the pathway out isn't interrogation. It's safety, it's patience, it's you being the stable presence while his alarm runs its course. So if your son shuts down, if he can't tell you what he's afraid of, if he retreats into silence or sarcasm when you ask what's wrong, notice what shows up before words. Silence often comes before clarity. And your job isn't to force the words out, it's to create the conditions where words can eventually emerge. In the next video, I'll show you what those conditions actually look like.